they have a whole section of motorcyclists that do overland trips. So, you know, going where most places people don't go. And I met David, and he talks about health on the road. So I invited him to be one of our speakers, and he's going to talk about motorcycle riding and health, keeping your health. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Very good. I'm excited to be here. First of all, when I met Linda, I had no idea there was a such thing as a virtual rotary motorcycle. Like, how could you combine anything better? So I thought that was pretty cool. And this is obviously a really good
everyone?
time to have a virtual method of connecting. So I guess you guys were ahead of the game on that, weren't you? A little bit of, I think I'm gonna share. Let me share my screen real quick, and I'll show you a little bit about what we got going on here. All right, you guys popped over there. Didn't mean for that to happen. Let me get you back over here. And that's actually a picture I took. Can you guys see the background? Is that all showing up? Awesome. That's actually a picture I took over in the Appalachia. It's around 5,000 feet elevation. And that's one of the reasons that I ride an adventure bike, is so I can get places that other people can't. So I can, I was socially distancing before it was cool. So that's kind of what a lot of us adventure riders like to do. And so that's kind of where, how I ended up going to Overland Expo. And I travel a lot with Simon and Lisa Thomas, although now we're trying to figure out when that will happen again. I don't know if you guys know Simon and Lisa Thomas, but they are with To Ride the World. And if you get a chance to check out ToRideTheWorld.com, the number 2, ridetheworld.com, you can check out who they are. And I believe, and in fact, Lisa's working on this now. Lisa has been the longest traveling female rider in the world. She's working on getting in the Guinness Book of World Records on that. They traveled for about 15 years, 100 plus countries and stuff like that. And the way we got together was because of health on the road. That was a concern of theirs, and it was something that they've had a hard time doing. And let me see if this works. It does not. Hang on. The little Zoom pictures get in the way. There we go. All right, you should see me again. That haircut is pre-COVID. I have a lot more hair now because we're still closed as far as haircuts are going. But we got to be really good friends, Simon, Lisa, and myself, and they were looking for a way, as many do, on how to travel across borders, how to take their health with them as they go on the road. And it's not that easy, especially with medications. And this is pre-COVID. I don't know if any of that type stuff will change. I guarantee you, vaccination requirements will change. We don't know what level yet, but there's a little bit of concern there. And so anyway, most travelers are looking for some way for a better method of having a very compact kit that they can take with them, that they can get by these things that typically come across. So whether it is digestive issues or allergies or sleeping, common things that you have that normally you just run to Walmart and you pick up an over the counter, for better or worse, that's just not possible when you're traveling country to country to country. And so that was something that was intriguing to them. A little bit of background about me, if I can actually, having everything, there we go. A little bit of background about me. I was in the tech industry for 20 plus years, owned my own company. I specialized in legal and medical, had a huge background in medical. As a result of that, I was the guy, unfortunately, I was the guy who trained the doctors to not look at you. Instead, they're in their iPad or their tablet computer typing in all of their EMR stuff. So that's kind of what I was responsible for doing. And around 2009, my wife and I were realizing that we were getting older and things were not working like they were supposed to. We were out of shape, and I was watching chronic illness start to seep in. 2010, my wife went to Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and we made this gargantuan shift from unhealthy to healthy. And it was not, it was scary, but it was not near as hard as I thought it was going to be once we leaped into it, because the rewards were so great that it was easy to give up some of the things that we were used to. And so around 2012, we discovered, so we made that huge shift from about 2010 to 12. In 2012, we found a company called doTERRA, and that kind of filled the missing gap of those day-to-day things that you run across. What happens if you do get sick? What happens if you want to boost your immune system? How do you do that? And so the nutritional supplements and essential oils specifically gave us that toolkit that we needed to kind of round out our healthy lifestyle. 2013, and this is a little funny, or you guys may feel this is a little funny, is we went on Doomsday Preppers. I added this in. I hadn't been telling many people about this in several years, but we wanted to go on. And of course, there were a bunch of crazy people on Doomsday Preppers. I don't know if you guys watched the show or not. It was an interesting show. Initially I told the lady, I was like, I don't think I'm crazy enough to be on your show. But what I ended up doing is I wanted to show people that the average person needs to prepare for the unexpected. And, who knew that was going to happen in 2020, but here we are. And so 2014, I was able to retire from IT. I finally got away from that. And since then, we have been doing full-time educating people about natural health and how to take yourself from how to take yourself to your optimal body, whatever that looks like for you. In 2018, as a result actually of working with Simon, I delved into professional photography and now filmmaking, and now combine all of that together with health or adventure motorcycling or product reviews and stuff like that. So I do a lot of stuff like that for either fun or work. And then of course in 2020, here we are with COVID-19. I don't even know that we need to say anything about that. It is what it is, and it has completely changed our lives. And I don't really know that we can even comprehend just how much has changed our life yet. I think it's still, something in motion. So one of the things that I like to talk to people about, and I'm going to do, I promised Linda that I would not make this a sales speech regarding, here's all this stuff, buy this. What I'm going to try to do, obviously I'm going to cover some products because that's the only language that I've got. But what I'm hoping to do is open you guys up to the idea that it doesn't have to come in a bottle in order to do something positive to your body. And there's a lot that happens to your body that comes from a lot of different ways. And it's not just that comes from a person in a lab coat that gives you this prescription, and that does not necessarily, it's not necessarily the end all be all for you. So there's a lot of ways to measure, health and wellness, and your stress levels, your exercise habits, your diet, which interestingly enough, I saw on the Canadian website that they have stated that there is no way there's no way that you can boost your immune system through diet. You can't make that stuff up. I don't know where they get that stuff, because where do you think your immune system comes from? It's from what you eat. It's like saying that vitamin C doesn't take care of scurvy. We know it does. And so a deficiency in vitamin C causes scurvy. And so, of course, it supports your immune system. Of course, it supports. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. And what I hope you walk away from this is be open to questioning what we are being told, whether it's from the natural side or whether it's from the government side or the pharmaceutical side, whatever. Just question it, do your research. And if it works, then if it works for you, then it works. Emotional stability, there's a huge issue, of course, right now with everything being down, of what that looks like for people. We've never done this in the world, is like shut the entire world down and say, stay in your home. And that's causing a lot of issues. I was a reserve deputy sheriff for years, and I still have a lot of friends on the force, and they're saying that alcoholism, suicide calls are up like 400%. There's a lot of things that are dangerous about domestic violence is up a lot. And so there's a lot of things that are causing, there are ancillary injuries and deaths that are being caused as a result of this state that we're finding ourselves in. Of course, we have toxin exposure. And then bottom line is how do you feel? It's interesting because as you go through life, as I went through life, in fact, this is my situation. In 2009, I was getting strep throat a couple times a year. Again, remember I specialized in medical, so I was in doctor's offices all the time, working around the nurses and everything else. So I was getting strep throat a couple times a year. I had the flu typically one time a year, and I was taking the flu shot back then. I haven't taken that in 8 years or more and have not gotten the flu. My waistline kept expanding. Has anybody suffered from any of that happening? And so my temper was short, which relates to mood management. My energy was down. I was tired all the time. And I was moving toward hypertension, and that was at age 36. So 11 years later, I'm at a completely different state. And that was purely because of changing my diet. I dropped sodas. I dropped anything that was partially hydrogenated, which was a very common thing back in that time. Now that natural method has kind of gotten a lot more popular now, which is great. And so back then, anything virtually every bread on the market had partially hydrogenated oils in it. That's a lot better now. I dropped sugar. So when it comes to any kind of simple sugar, so that doesn't mean that sugar is bad for you. Sugar is needed and it's good for you. But when you're taking it in the form of a soda or sweet tea, if you're from the South, or things like that, the way it goes into your body and the way it metabolizes is far different than eating an apple. Okay. In the same regard, if you're eating a glass of apple juice, yeah, it's 100% apple. What's wrong with that? But the sugar content is now simplified because all the fiber's gone. So when it goes into your body, it metabolizes extremely quickly, and your body actually reacts on it like it's a drug. I dropped most alcohol. I still drink today, but I dropped way back on that, and then typically eating it with food or something like that helps that. There's a lot of sugar and alcohol. Added juicing and smoothies and healthy food, and then of course I added exercise, and as a result, I dropped 30 pounds. Blood pressure normalized, energy rebounded, and that's pretty much where I've been since. But I still had some missing pieces. And with our best efforts, it wasn't possible to receive all the nutrients that we needed for our bodies to operate optimally. I was even vegan for a while. So I was vegan for a year or so, then went vegetarian, and then I had concerns about a lot of the processed nature that a lot of the vegan stuff has in it. And then I was dropping so much weight as vegetarian, even because of my workouts, I had to add protein back in. So I brought fish back. And then ultimately, because of a lot of the issues that we have in our oceans, I went and added back grass-fed beef and things like that. I still think I feel best on a purely pescatarian diet, so just fish and vegetables. but I still eat meat and different things like that just because it's hard to get the quality that I trust in fish only. Here's the thing to remember: through all these diet changes, I never felt like I was hungry. Okay, I was always full. It's not a starvation diet, and if you make changes to your diet and they're not and they're that type of taking something away, it's not sustainable. You won't stick with it. It's just human nature. You're going to feel like you're deprived and you're not going to hold on. And so if you add good things in, that's going to give you the ability to not miss those things that you're taking out. And so this was me. Every person is different. Blood types tend to lend different diets in many cases. So the big thing is be aware of how you feel about 20 to 30 minutes after you eat something, and make a note of it. Even have a journal if you really want to, if you really care about it. Some things will give you energy. Some things will drain you. Some things will make you feel lethargic. Notice the next day how you feel. All of that matters. And so on a different note, let's look at some risk factors. Okay. There's always news about family history. Everyone from your local doctor to your life insurance person is going to talk to you about, your risk factors based on, your family history. And it's true. You may have propensities toward a certain illness, and it follows through gene expression. Okay. And so, and therefore the DNA is going to lend toward more common gene expression of one issue versus another. But it doesn't mean that that's a death sentence. Okay. It doesn't mean that my dad had heart disease and therefore I'm going to have heart disease. It's just simply not true. A lot of times what we have with ancestry and family patterns is there's a lot of nature or nurture going in as well as nature. What I mean by that is your dad ate a certain type of food and you likely eat that same type of food. So there's a carry-on of habits that goes through family, not just your genes. So it makes your lifestyle will make a huge difference in whether or not certain genes are flipped on or remain off. Some people must have to be more conscious than others regarding their diet due to family history. But it doesn't mean that you can't turn the tide. And so, all of us have different levels of cancer, different levels of heart disease, different things that are attributing factors in our bodies. And those choices that we make either flip those on or off. Okay. All right. So one of the things that, in my opinion, and actually the studies have shown, I'm going to show you that. Well, there it is. It just didn't pop up. There it is. No matter what you do regarding eating, we were juicing, we were eating premium foods, all organics. And there was only so much that we could do. We still couldn't get what we wanted, or what we needed, what our bodies needed, because the food supply just isn't what it used to be. And as a result of that, in fact, they did a study on the average apple, and it has 5 times less vitamin C today than it did 50 years ago. And so if you consider that, and you go, well, the RDA says the RDA requirements for vitamin C is this. Okay, well, that's great. Well, what does RDA mean? Okay, RDA, the recommended daily allowances of vitamins, is not what your body needs. It is the minimum required to keep you from disease. Okay, i.e., the recommended daily allowance of vitamin C is actually, I don't know what it is, but whatever that is to keep you from having scurvy. Okay, so it's not an optimal range. It is simply a minimum level. So we need to keep that in mind when we're looking at what does our body really need. We all ride motorcycles. How many of you use unleaded oil or unleaded gas in your motorcycle? Raise your hand. I can only see a few of you. So use just regular unleaded, not premium. Okay. So most of us are using premium. If you've got a BMW, you're probably running premium because it'll knock. You know, depending on the type of bike, it can handle unleaded. The reality is most of us get the best. If you had a Ferrari, okay, you would get the best fuel that you could for that vehicle. And the reality is our body is the only vehicle that we've got that we can't turn around and get a new model in a couple of years, right? But yet we don't take the time to think about the fuel that we're putting in it on a daily basis. We think, it doesn't really matter. These deficiencies in the U.S. population came from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and it shows a magnesium deficiency of 75%. Magnesium is a big mineral that's required for proper sleep. Iron deficiency, that's a shocking number to me. You know, typically we think if you eat meat, you're getting plenty of iron. I was shocked to see that 58% has an iron deficiency. Manganese, chromium, zinc, selenium, all of these are critical micronutrients that work with macronutrients in order for absorption and things like that. So a lot of times we may be eating good food, but it's not actually going through it's not absorbing into our system. Think about it. As the food goes through, it has to break down to a molecular level and absorb through the intestines. The vitamins have to absorb through the intestines. The water gets pushed out, goes to the kidneys, and the solid waste exits through the colon. So if it's not able to break it down, which a lot of these micronutrients support that breakdown, you're not getting the food. You're not getting the vitamins. You're just pooing it out. And so that's a big factor. What we recommend, this vitamin complex that I have, is I've used a whole bunch of different vitamins over the years. I've never felt different. How many of you use a multivitamin of any sort? One a day or Centrum or whatever. So I have taken a number of different vitamins over the years, and I have never felt different as a result. Okay. It's like, I can't tell if I took it or not. It doesn't really matter. In the reality, I may pee a different color, but I never really felt different. Okay. And here's what a vitamin should do. And these are the ones that I sell. But I'm giving you this because I want you to understand that when you pick a quality vitamin, this is what it should be doing for you. Okay. The alpha CRS is a antioxidant, okay, primarily. The way antioxidants work is in your body, there are free radicals, okay, free radicals that go throughout the body and they ravage other cells. They're stealing stuff because as you can see, they're missing an electron, okay? So they do their best to go and steal it from something else, okay? Well, if there aren't antioxidants that are going around that are just loaded with free electrons to give away, they're going to steal it from cells that actually have purpose, okay? And as a result, your body gets compromised. So that's why antioxidants are powerful. That's why they work so well. That's why they protect your DNA. That's why they protect so much and why they're so needed. Blueberries are high in antioxidants. There's a lot of foods that are high in antioxidants as well, but this is just a kick. So your vitamins should have that. Another thing is your omega-3 fatty acids. Many of you are probably old enough to remember when the low-fat diet fad came through. Okay, it was probably in the middle 90s is when that was. Anybody that had heart disease, they put them on not a low-fat, they put them on a no-fat diet, none. And it was amazing as you looked at those who went on those no-fat diets, their skin got dry, their joints began to hurt. They started to break down. And so they finally changed the fact that, okay, yeah, you need fatty acids, you need fat, you just don't need bad fat. Okay, I get that. That's true. The omega-3 fatty acids in the right change, omega-3s are good guys. Omega-9s are not bad. They're just bad when the relationship is wrong. Okay. And so what they do is they help with circulation. Think of them as a lubricant. Okay. They think of it as a lubricant for your joints, for your brain. Okay. Your brain, that's what it operates on. That's why walnuts are so good for you from a brain health standpoint, because walnuts are high and they're a slow burn type fuel. And so the Z Omega is our pack that has those omega-3 fatty acids. They also have essential oils in there to support bioavailability, as well as mood response and processing in the stomach. A lot of people struggle to process vitamins in general, and so that's another thing that helps with that. And then finally, you got vitamins and minerals. You need those 22 essential vitamins and minerals that your body is not getting enough of. And so that's finally, that would be the last part. So our Microplex VMz does that. All right, so now I want you to think of your body as a construction site. Okay, so the structure is your body. The cells are actually the workers. Okay. And the brick, steel, and mortar are the nutrients. And then the essential oils in your body work like a job foreman, okay? So they're telling the cells what to do. They act as messengers, all right? And they do that through chemistry. So if you look on the back of Tylenol or Aleve or any kind of medication, you're gonna see that the active ingredient in that little bitty pill is 0.5%, or it's a very low amount. And the reality is that is true. It doesn't take a ton of chemistry to either help your body or screw it up. And in fact, to give yourself a picture, imagine 1 teaspoon in an Olympic-size swimming pool. That is the dilution that would be needed to make a cellular difference in your body. It is not a lot. So what that means is everything that you come across makes a difference, whether it goes on your skin. So 60% of what goes on your skin goes in your body, 60%, okay? So everything that you're touching, if it's chemically laden, 60% of that has a chance of making it through your epidural layer and ultimately your bloodstream. So you got to have a way to detoxify yourself, which your body is fantastic about detoxifying, but it needs certain chemicals in order to support that. And so good chemistry as well as bad chemistry, they both interact with your body. And so the point is choose more good chemistry so you can overcome the bad chemistry. Does that make sense? And then let's talk a little bit, and I've only got a few more minutes left, I realize. Let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. That QR code, I'm not going to get into what I teach as far as how to support your body proactively about that, because we just don't have the time here. But take a picture of the QR code or a screenshot or whatever, and it goes through everything. I didn't make this video as a sales video for people who are not using essential oils, but it is very educational as far as things that you can do proactively to support yourself in this time, from cleaning services, cleaning your body, etc. So feel good about that. One thing about the COVID-19 that I want to point out, when all of this first came out, okay, we were being told that there was a potential of 3% death rate across the population. That's a lot of people. Now what they're finding, and this is good news, is that there's new studies from Stanford, Harvard, and then there's another one in Germany, and I want to say there's one that's Dutch that came out from the Netherlands. I think it's Dutch, but they're all finding that there's a huge asymptomatic group out there that have already had it. Okay, so it's gone through. The people that we know are the ones that are showing up with symptoms in the hospitals. But now when they're doing antibody testing on small groups, they're finding that a lot more people have had it. That's good news, guys, because what that means is now you have to take all of those people as well and add them to the denominator. And it's by magnitudes that makes this weaker. And so what it's now showing is that the death rate is more when you count all the asymptomatic people, that the death rate is anywhere from 0.1 to 0.14%, depending on the study. And the flu, yearly flu ends up being around 0.1%. It still doesn't mean that it's like the flu. And the only reason it's not like the flu is because the number of people, it's way easier to catch, okay? So that's the difference, is it's way easier to catch. What we still hope, and I don't think we know this yet, we still hope that it has the ability to create some level of immunity from that. I think that remains to be seen. We don't have a lot of proof yet on that, but that's the goal. And I'm sorry, but if you can't become immune from catching it, I don't see how a vaccine is going to help either, which is one reason we don't have a vaccine for a corona-style virus. So we'll see how that works. So that's a thought there. And you guys may have questions on that, and you're welcome to ask those. In fact, if any of you have a question, I can't see the little hand raise thing. So if just unmute yourself and feel free to ask the question. And I don't want to go too long. I think if I'm reading this right, I've been going 27 minutes. Is that correct? Anybody? Somewhere in there? Okay. And I can only see 3 of you on the screen, so I apologize for all those who I can't see. All right, so what else can you do to protect your body, especially while you're on the road? The most common when we're riding is you stop, you get a Monster drink or a 5-hour energy or something like that. And what does that do to your body? And of course, we've already talked about sugar, and I don't want to go into that again, but shift a little bit and consider what caffeine does to the body. Now, not saying to give up caffeine. Caffeine actually in limited quantities actually has some very positive benefits to the body. It's when we continue to do it, or when we do it in order to keep yourself awake, especially on the road, that's when things become a little more questionable. And so, in fact, your brain will shut off. When it realizes that it has to have sleep, it will simply shut down. And guys, this has happened to me on the road. I think I'm awake, I'm moving along, I'm listening to music, I think everything's good. And then I realize I missed something. Like I just missed like a huge stretch of road. And of course, at that point, you realize I got to stop, right? And it can happen fast. If you've ever had your head nod, that's exactly what happened. And in the time that your head nods, you can travel about 300 yards just in that nod. So when you're in a car with someone with you, it's not as big of a deal. It's still a problem, but you got other eyes. When you're on 2 wheels, it can be a pretty major problem. A better way to manage that is drink lots of water. And then eat high protein snacks. Again, going back to the walnuts, almonds, things like that. They burn slow. And what that does is it gives you a sustained level of energy. And then beyond that, take a nap. I don't know how many times I do a lot of iron butt rides. I've done the 1,000, I've done the 1,500. And the 1,500 I did in like 34 hours, 33 hours, something like that. And that process, I still would pull over. And what I normally do, because I've got an adventure motorcycle, I'll get off into the off-ramp and into the grass somewhere and hide behind a tree, lay down and set my alarm, and I'm out for 20 minutes and get back up, crawl back on, and I'm gone. It's fantastic because you just need to make sure that you don't go more than 20 minutes. If you go more than 20 minutes, your body shifts into, oh, I'm going to sleep for a long period of time. It starts dumping melatonin, and then it makes it harder for you to wake back up. If you stay within 15 to 20 minutes, you'll actually get an energy boost, and it's like sleeping 4 hours. So that's a really good one. All right, so I have a lot of fun on motorcycles, but it also creates some pain, okay? I don't care what you do, it creates some pain. A couple of things I use for pain on the road. I don't use Tylenol or Aleve unless a last resort. I typically take a Aleve about 2 to 3 times a year. And so my primary go-to is Copaiba, which if you think of Copaiba, it interacts with the CB2 receptor site a lot like CBD. So I don't know if you're familiar with CBD oil. There's a lot of different powers within CBD as far
Brian, did we lose him?
We think we lost him.
Yeah, I'm not getting any audio either.
Yeah, I think he's.
I mean, his picture is frozen and I can't hear him, so you gotta lost him.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
Big oil.
Yeah. Well, I'll stay.
Right. You can pick up from here.
I'll stay politically correct in this whole situation, and
I've always liked the idea of power naps. I mean, I'm good for, you know,
Oh, yeah.
20,
Absolutely.
30 minutes. That's the best.
Absolutely.
That's the best.
Yeah.
This is the problem with a lot of stuff, right? We end up with a particle of truth along with a lot of sort of.
Yes. Did everybody enjoy their siesta de mayo yesterday?
Yeah, it was a good day.
Speaking of power naps. Isn't that normal on the 5th of May is siesta de mayo, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, what happened to the purple hair? Did you change it?
We have some we have some gangsters, pranksters in our club. Linda actually sent me a kit to dye my hair purple.
No.
And Debbie was trying to get me to do it until I read the instructions and said, this is stuff that washes out in 5 or 6 weeks, evidently. And I read the instructions. It will not take in gray hair.
Well, no one said anything like that to me. The dye.
True, Jerry.
I think it had to do with
Harold,
me
I'm sure
dyeing my
somebody could
wife's
come
hair
up
the
with
last week.
a wig to put on your head and make it look purple.
I'm back. I apologize for that.
Looks like our
Hey,
guest
Harold, I
has
was
come
going to
back.
ask you. What
Oh, there he
shampoo
is.
you use?
David's back.
Oh, there we go.
I made it back.
Oh, sorry about that, David.
No worries at all. I tell you, so it's been 2020 like every day for me. I've got a Mac, and it's a rather new Mac, and the hard drive died on it. Well, on these new Macs, the hard drive is integrated into the logic board. And what that means is you have to replace the whole logic board. Well, that was going to take a week to get in and blah, blah, blah. So I bought another Mac, and I'll fix that one later and use it, for another time. And well, this one, apparently there's some glitch, and anytime I do video, I thought I had solved it with an external video because I'm actually using my camera. I'm not using FaceTime. And I thought I had fixed it, but maybe not. So there you go. Do you guys have any questions while I'm getting my everything turned back on? Is this useful?
It's very useful.
Do you care?
Oh,
Yeah, we're interested.
A lot of us have been there, done that. I had someone tell me I was drinking coffee to try to stay awake, because I was stupid. And some guy said, hey, my wife is a registered nurse, and she told me lay off the coffee and go into McDonald's and get a soft serve of ice cream. And that'll keep you going, and you won't have that nosedive from the sugar rush. And I tried it. And for the rest of my 10,506 mile trip, I ate a lot of ice cream, and it worked.
And the reason why that is, it's because
proteins or something in there.
It's because there's fat in there.
Right.
So the fat takes longer to burn. It's not just a simple sugar. Now, you could argue that the McDonald's ice cream is not probably even technically ice cream.
You just ruined it for me.
That's a whole other discussion.
Okay.
But that's probably why you were getting the benefit.
Yeah, it worked.
Let me go back to presenter view and let me share the screen first. There's a whole order that I have to do this on.
What is this Copaiba, or what you say? This one.
It comes from a tree in the Amazon. It's an essential oil, and no.
What is the benefit of that?
It is basically, it acts as an anti-inflammatory, or I guess the FDA term would be a healthy and inflammatory response. The way it actually works and is it's pain relief. I mean, that's the symptom relief that you get. That's
But
not exactly what
turmeric
it's doing, but that's the relief that you get
but
is for pain.
turmeric fights against the inflammation as well, especially with the blood.
That's correct. And so one of the reasons that both of these are so important for me is I've got 2 degenerative discs in the top of my neck, and I've got a couple that are in my lower back. And so without something that is actively helping me with inflammation on a constant basis, I'm in pain. And of course, imagine, wearing a helmet for 1,000 miles or whatever, and it really adds up, it just adds up on the pain. And so, luckily Copaiba absorbs into the bloodstream, so it's not enzymatically broken down like CBD is. So there's no toxicity to the liver like Aleve is, and some things like that. So it just works. The other cool thing about Copaiba, it has, they did a study on it and showed it had a 12-hour half-life. So 1 pill in the morning pretty well gets you through the day. And then so what I do is I take 1 at night, 1 in the morning. And so I'm just constantly doing it. I've been doing that now for, since they came out probably 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And 1 still works. I don't have to, you don't build a resistance to it, because again, remember thinking of it as a messenger. It just basically tells the cells to respond in a certain way. And so it works really well.
Did you heard anything about nettle tea?
Things like stinging nettle. Yeah. There are benefits to that. As you know, there are a lot of natural anti-inflammatories. Matcha tea is good. There's a lot of different types of teas that are really good.
But nettle have not only the inflammation thing, they have something special for you guys. So this is a different kind of thing. So.
Yes, there's actually a lot regarding prostate health with regard to the nettles. That's very true.
Yes.
I don't know why it's not. You guys can see my.
How it have an input on your traveling. So how it makes you more, able to make this long distance rides, and what is your experience with the long distance ride? So, something like that would be interesting.
Yeah. So there's several things that I do when I do a lot of the long distance rides. So about twice a year I go west. At least, I was supposed to be there in May, supposed to be there in October. So we'll see. May didn't happen. But one of the things that these products are huge for me. In addition, I use you guys familiar with AirHawk, the seat? I use one of those. I also use the Motoskivvies shorts, the underwear. And then I also use Motoskivvies compression socks. Now, anyone in nursing or physicians, they all know about compression socks and how that's important. It's not just for sitting. It's also, if you stand in one position, you'll have pooling of blood, which increases clotting potential and things like that. And so that's a big one for you. It's irrelevant of age. Okay. It's a big deal. Because you will have pooling of blood. If you get off your bike, okay, if you've gone for a good ride and you get off your bike and you take your socks off and you have major swelling, okay, around like, yes. And so that's not only, obviously you've got water retention, okay, which is bad, but you've also got blood pooling, and that's bad as well. So the compression socks all the way up to above your calves are fantastic to help with that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how many of you have, I camp a lot. So you guys may be hotel campers. My wife, the closest that she gets to a camping is our motorhome. So you may be on that side of it. I am probably on the opposite side, as rough as possible that I can camp, the better. How many of you have a great routine for keeping bugs and specifically ticks. If you're in the East Coast, East side, ticks are a really, really bad thing. What do you guys use for ticks? Anybody?
I'm not camping.
You know, okay.
Because of that, I don't want them. You know?
Yes. So most of the tick repellents are quite nasty. They've got some very severely harsh chemicals in them. You can't get them on your skin, which everybody knows if you're in motorcycle gear, like where do you're going to get it on you because you're touching all that stuff, all of your gear. TerraShield is actually a combination of a multitude of different essential oils, one of them being lemon eucalyptus. Lemon eucalyptus has been studied that it is really, really good about repelling ticks. And I have found this to be absolutely fantastic. You rub it straight on your skin. It doesn't smell horrible. And it works. It does not create an aura like a chemical repellent does. So you don't want to miss any spots, right? But otherwise it's a fantastic option. How many of you have allergies on the road?
Is it helping against mosquitoes as well?
Yes. Sorry. And that's the one that you really need to make sure you don't miss any spots. So I was out camping one time and I put TerraShield on one knee, forgot to put it on the other, and I'm sitting there and literally, I watched him fly over around the one knee and then hit me on the other. I'm like, man. So you really do have to that's the only downside of it is you can't miss anything. But it's actually, it's not drying to the skin. It's actually really good for your skin. So it's a good option, but yeah, you can put it straight on. Allergies. So, now allergies, I could have a whole discussion on allergies of where they come from and how to rid them permanently. But from a symptomatic standpoint, lemon, lavender, and peppermint work fantastically as long as they're good quality, like doTERRA essential oils. What that does is it provides the peppermint, opens you up. The lemon provides a cleansing, so a detox, and the lavender is a natural antihistamine. So the three together work really well. doTERRA has it comes in a pill, which makes it extremely convenient while you're riding a motorcycle. And usually one of those twice a day is in bad allergy season is all I need. Peppermint is one of the things that I use all the time in the heat of the summer. I put it in my Camelback. Now you can't put citrus essential oils in your Camelback because it will break down the plastic, and which is great when it's in your body. It's not great when it's in your Camelback because it flushes toxins from your system because of that. But peppermint does not, and it's fantastic in your Camelback because what it does as you drink that water, number one, warm water actually tastes good with benefit when it's got peppermint in it. But also as you sweat, that peppermint tends to leach through your skin and it's like an air conditioner. It's phenomenal. I've never had anything like that. And that's how I always, I do it when I'm riding the bicycle and then obviously I do it as on the motorcycle as well. But that's a great tip that I really enjoy. There's also, we've got these little things called peppermint beadlets. So peppermint, obviously one of the high constituents is menthol. And what it does is it opens up circulation. Okay, so it's a vasodilator. And so what that means is you're now getting more oxygen intake. And as a result, you have alertness. So back to the caffeine solution, peppermint is a great option to give yourself some alertness because if you increase oxygen, you're more awake. And so that's a great option for that. Oh, I didn't know I was doing that. Okay, so how many of you know what this is and how many of you have had one? Okay, so this is like the furthest from healthy that you could possibly get. It is a Indian taco. I think it was South Dakota or Wyoming, maybe somewhere in that area. It was amazing, but obviously it comes at a price. And so you're eating something like that and then you turn around and you get on the bike. But I mean, that's the whole reason. That's one of the reasons that we travel. It's one reason I travel. I love trying food that is not what I typically eat. I love trying the as close to authentic as I can get, whether I'm in Mexico or Canada or wherever. Poutine, from poutine to ceviche, you know? And so it's an awesome thing, but it does have consequences. One of the best options that I've had to take care of that, and it works almost instantly, is Digestin. It's another essential oil blend, and it has peppermint and fennel and coriander and ginger. Anybody who knows plants and herbs knows that all of those are very, very soothing to the stomach. But what it is, when it's the essential oil, rather than an herb, which you take internally and it has to be digested, the essential oil simply absorbs straight in and it's immediately working. And so rubbing a couple of drops of the Digestin on your abdomen, and I mean literally bloating or gassy or all that kind of stuff, gone. It's phenomenal. And if you've got, if you're proactive and you got issues, you're going to have issues, you can take it in a pill form, which has a different method because it doesn't work until it's in your gut. And so that has a different benefit, or same benefit, but working from a different angle, I guess is a way to look at it. Another thing that I struggle with, and this is probably more for people who camp than those who hotel, although, it can happen in hotels, especially the Western hotels that maybe aren't the greatest. I've stayed in some interesting hotels, but so Breathe is a blend that, again, going back to the peppermint, it has peppermint in it, it has eucalyptus in it, and several other oils that are cardamom, that will open up your airways. And it's probably the one, when I'm like at an overland or something and I'm doing demonstrations, that's probably the one that everybody goes, wow, because they don't even realize that they're not breathing as much as they could breathe. And so they take that in. And so what I do is, when I'm camping, I always have a bottle somewhere close, because somewhere around 1 a.m. to about 3 a.m., the pressure tends to change. And then suddenly you get clogged up. And it's not like there's anything in your nose. It's not like it's a pressure. And so what that does is it opens you back up and you can go straight back to sleep. I'm telling you, when you camp night after night after night, the worst thing that you can do, because fatigue starts to set in if you're not getting good night's sleep, and it has a compounding effect. And so not getting a good night's sleep can truly be a very dangerous thing. That's pretty much it. So I'm done. What I wanted to, this is quick. I didn't really cover like a typical topic thing that I normally do. What I was trying to do is kind of hit things that I want you to think. I want you to realize that if you're suffering from something, it doesn't require a medication to fix it. You can look at the root cause, which might be diet, which might be nutritional deficiencies, which might be, there's a myriad of different things. And that's kind of what we do, okay? We work with people individually to come up with a solution that works best for you. And so, just because you're older doesn't mean you have to suffer. That's not how the body's supposed to work. I've worked with 90-something-year-old people that are active lifestyles and they're having a blast. And I've worked with 30-year-old people that are just barely able to get out the door. So something's wrong. And it's so much within our control. And I guess I want to give you that positive, that there is the option to have it back in your control. And so that's kind of what we love to do. And that's what we specialize in. A little quick plug is there's a lot more information at health4adv.com. That's me. And then I would love for you to follow my YouTube channel, which is at Wheelspin Productions. So if you search YouTube for Wheelspin Productions, you'll find I do reviews, ride reports, documentaries, and then miscellaneous productions for people like Clearwater Lights and other companies like that. So beyond that, I think I'm done.
Okay. Well,
Very good presentation.
Awesome. Very
Thanks,
useful.
guys.
I really enjoyed that. That was very enlightening.
Well, I appreciate that. It's funny because I tend to run over every time I speak, and so I was doing my best to restrain myself and not take you guys out. So I hope you enjoyed it.
David,
It's great.
when you're talking about the essential oils and things of that nature, in terms of sourcing, you know, is it a logical place like a GNC store, or is there a better supplier that you can look towards?
Well, obviously I'm biased because the supplier that I use is doTERRA. And so I will say this, doTERRA has gone to great lengths to ensure the quality of their products. But not only that, it comes from third world countries. Virtually all quality essential oils come from third world countries, whether it's Nepal, Madagascar, wherever. When these essential oils are purchased on the commodity market, okay, which is basically before doTERRA, that's the way it was. Frankincense is made in Somalia, and it's wild crafted by these guys who go out and for 6 months they score the frankincense trees, they bleed, they shave off the frankincense, and they take it back. This is something. And then what was happening, because doTERRA became so popular, that other companies there was an issue with sustainability within the frankincense trees, just specifically to them. And this is something that's happened with other companies as well. But what's happened, doTERRA reached out to an environmental company to help them educate the tribal people so that they would not destroy the trees. And also they changed their payment method so that they were paying them consistently over 12 months versus just when they got a dose. The same thing happened in Haiti. So our vetiver, which is fantastic for sleep, it's like a sedative. It's amazing. You get the best sleep ever with vetiver. Stinks, but you put it on the bottom of your feet and you're out like a light. But it comes from Haiti. And what doTERRA discovered is it takes 18 months for the vetiver root, which is what they extract, to grow to the depth to where it has the potency necessary of what we were looking for, of the quality that they were looking for. But what was happening is the Haitians are broke, and they just go and chop some, take some, and they're not concerned with how long it's been in there. So they're not getting the best value or the best quality. So what doTERRA did is they worked with them and they said, all right, we're going to pay you on a 12-month cycle, okay? But in order to get that, you have to leave it for 18 months. So we're going to pay you regardless. And then you harvest it every 18 months. And so as a result, now they have consistent income. doTERRA gets the best product. It's a win-win. So that's kind of what we've done across the world. The oils, when Nepal got hit with the earthquakes, we were the first ones there building temporary schools, shelters, all sorts of things. So that it's a very tight partnership with all these people. And so much of this stuff is wild crafted. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see some of these fields and stuff. It's just really cool.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And you can learn all about that at healthforadv.com.
Okay.
Oh, there's a chat up. I'm not, do I need to be answering any of this? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, I do want to mention one thing. On healthforadv.com, there is an option for you to sign up for a vitality assessment. It's totally free. What it does is it gives you an hour to talk with me. I send you basically a worksheet. You fill that out. We talk about your health. We talk about your health goals. And then I give you products that will work to help resolve that. And you can say no or not, or yes. And so there's no obligation. And so,
can you repeat it?
I'm sorry?
Can you please?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Can you please repeat it, how it calls when we go on your website, where we have to go on?
It should be very easy to find, but if you just go to healthforadv.com and I
Yeah.
just put that in the chat, and you will.
Yeah.
In fact, I can.
Yeah, put it in the chat as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are kind of running out of time.
Great job.
Or are out of time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Guys, I appreciate it. Enjoyed it. And
Yeah,
you
great
guys have a cool
presentation.
group. It's just so neat to have a virtual Rotary group. That's just
Yeah.
really cool. I didn't know that.
A virtual motorcycle Rotary group.
I know. Yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah.